So tell me a little bit about what it's been like for you to break out of that very traditional stereotype of being East Indian, not married, not having kids.
The Sheryl Sandberg narratives of the world. And that narrative is that you can have it all, right? Oh my God, we put so much pressure on women. Nobody's asking a man to have it all.
Like, they don't want to know anything else.
No.
Like, they don't want to know how successful you are. They don't want to know how many businesses you've started. And they're just like, oh, I'm so sorry. I've never felt sorry for myself.
Yeah. Whose life are you here to live? Are you here to live somebody else's version of you? Or that honors you? And my business was thriving, but inside me, I'm going, I'm awful. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And then I go to spin class, but it was mirroring my inside.
It was about going into the gym and lifting that really heavy weight and mentally breaking that barrier that I'm a victim.
Yeah.
I've been traumatized. I've been, physically hurt, mentally destroyed.
Yeah.
And I put all of that in the gym. And for me, that became my solace. That became my safe space.
You're at the airport and you stand there and you look at the gates being called, right? You don't begrudge them.
I love that.
I think
you're at the airport and just wait for your turn and it's coming.
Yeah. And your flight, you didn't even want to go on that flight. So why are you getting angry?
Right.
Let it be. Your flight to your dream destination.
I love that. Hi, Shreya.
Hi, Fawzia.
Welcome to Life Unfiltered.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
And actually, thank you so much for taking the time to come on Mother's Day.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I don't know who would be happier, me being here or my mom having to have a break from me. So it's maybe a double win.
Well, you know what? I was actually going to say, we're not mothers, you and I.
No.
And that will come across later on in the episode. But I feel like I'm a mother in different ways. I feel like we have family, siblings, I have a nephew, but also we're mothers to our businesses.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I think the idea of being a mother takes so many different shapes and forms. And I think women are naturally nurturing. So exactly like you said, in your business, to your family, to the people that you interact with. And I give you like a really great example. One of my dearest friends, he's a younger guy, was also on his spin journey to become an instructor in Dubai. And he just did his very first community ride as an instructor. And I just felt so proud. I'm like, I feel like your mom. Like, I felt so much pride for him. And I was like, wow, this is like great. But you those feelings still appear in everything. And I think that's what makes women really unique.
Exactly. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
In all its forms, everybody.
So I think the first question I'm going to ask you to kick off this podcast is, for me, it's really important to talk about like breaking the stereotype. Yeah. You and I feel, and we had this conversation before, we've traveled on a very similar path. We kind of mirrored each other's life in terms of starting businesses, going into fitness, and all of that, moving countries. So tell me a little bit about what it's been like for you to break out of that very traditional stereotype of being East Indian, not married, not having kids.
I mean, it's been a year, or the last few months have been sort of very internal reflection moments and looking at how far I have come. When I was on my journey, especially starting it from my 20s, I didn't necessarily think that I was out there to want to intentionally break the mold. I always knew that I didn't want to fit somebody's definition of me, or I didn't want to fit into a system that didn't think about who I was or the value I had as a person or as somebody with a different perspective. But I didn't realize that I was going to go so far off the beaten track. And I think that sometimes is life, right? That you find yourself in spaces that aren't necessarily working. And then you dare to say, well, this isn't working. I'm going to go find other.
Right.
And then other shows you different doors, different paths. You keep searching. Sometimes the search doesn't work. Sometimes the search brings really beautiful paths. But you keep going. And then suddenly you turn around one day and you're like, look how far I came and I didn't really realize it.
Yeah, I think that's again, when I say we mirror each other, because I feel like the same sentiments. I feel like in my life, it was not like I was saying I don't want to get married or don't want to have kids. It was never something that I overthought about. Like I know there's some people out there, they're like, by 25, I want to have my first child. By 28, I want to have my second child and all of that. But for me, it was just like, okay, let's just see how life unfolds. And it just took me on a path where I started to get from one career into another job, into another, like focusing on, when I say career, so going from one job to another job to another job. Yeah. And I just got caught up into in the whole world, cycle. Right? And then I started to say, oh, this is kind of nice. Like I'm climbing the corporate ladder. Like let's get more, let's do more, let's impress more. And I kind of left I'm going to say it like this. I kind of left my personal life on a
shelf.
Yes. Not realizing that it was going to be on that shelf for such a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you feel similar to that. Like, how did you get into this whole cycle? And kind of, do you feel?
Yeah.
Maybe this is how I feel and I'm not projecting, but do you feel, you feel the way I do.
I absolutely
do you feel like you had to make certain sacrifices in order to get to where you are?
So I feel that the Sheryl Sandberg narratives of the world, and especially if you are not of a Western culture, is so misleading, and it puts so much pressure on women. And that narrative is that you can have it all, right? Oh my God, we put so much pressure on women. Nobody's asking a man to have it all, right? A man can have a bad day and he's still the greatest. Women have a bad day and she's dysfunctional. But what I realized was I started out in my early 20s trying to tick box the life I thought I was supposed to have.
Right.
So in the instance of marriage, the guy that I thought was supposed to be the tick box, for instance, turned out to have his own insecurities and his own issues, and they were not great for me as a person.
Yeah.
And so parked that on the side and said, well, if I can't control somebody else, what can I control? Me, right? And so let's put myself into something that I can see improving and I can see better and I can see wonderful. And the relationship will come, or the better guy will come that fits where my journey is going. And exactly like you said, sometimes we park that, and I did for a while, because gosh, the judgments come fast and thick and quick, right? So you're succeeding in your work, you're showing up, you're breaking barriers and doing exceptional things, but you're still not married. You just, I'm so sorry. No, I'm not sorry. I'm okay. And the judgments come faster than the it handbag. I'll put it that way. And so it becomes a cycle where that narrative of the judgment was like, well, then I'm going to show you how great I can be. So you can say to me, but you never got married. And I'll be like, but I did X, Y, Z. So that was how my journey went.
100%. And I feel, I completely feel you. And every time we talk, I'm like, this girl is like a full-on mirror to me. And I think the same thing happened to me. And I'm actually one of 4 girls, the oldest.
All actually. Girls.
Yes. And each time one of them got married or had a baby, the same exact thing happened. It was almost like I was made to feel like there was something wrong with me. You're the oldest. Oh, but you're not. Oh, your oldest daughter is not married yet?
Oh, dear.
Or your oldest daughter doesn't have a child? And it became my drive, exactly like you, to say, well, I'm not married, but look at what else I've done.
Yeah.
And that kind of pushed me so far into my career that it was almost like my identity. I don't have an identity.
Up, right?
Yeah, my identity is not being married and having a kid.
Yeah.
But my identity is being successful and traveling the world and working at large companies and making lots of money and climbing the corporate ladder. But I still don't feel, and to be honest, up until today, I don't think that much has changed. And you can correct me if you feel differently, but I still feel like I'll walk into the room and I'll be with my nephew, and either somebody will automatically think that, oh, that's your son?
Yeah.
No, it's my nephew. Oh, so do you have kids? no, I'm not even married. And they look at you like they don't want to know anything else.
No.
Like they don't want to know how successful you are. They don't want to know how many businesses you've started. And they're just like, oh, I'm so sorry. I've never felt sorry for myself.
Yeah. So then this is the question that I'll ask you, because I then sort of reversed this and asked somebody who posed that very same question to me. Is your life any less meaningful to you? Are you as happy for your sisters as you can possibly be?
Absolutely 100%.
So when somebody meets you, do you radiate just, I'm so happy in who I am and where my life
Yes.
is? So why can we not be happy for people for that, right? Because it also works the same way. The girl who did get married and had the 3 children, somewhere along the line, she lost her identity maybe, or she got reduced down to being the mom of XYZ, and nobody saw her for who she is. So maybe we need to start thinking, well, hey, you're really interesting and you look really content. Tell me your story.
Right. Oh my God, I love that. And I think, I need to use that in my podcast for the rest of the time that I interview women, because I think that is really important.
Yeah.
I think people bypass the happiness and they're looking for the nugget of unhappiness, let's say, to accentuate. And I think that's what ends up happening. So when I meet someone, I don't ask them. It's exactly what you just said. The reason you and I get along so well is because every time I see you, I'm like, I'm inspired by you. You've done great things in your life. Let's talk about all the great things.
Right? What are you doing?
It's never about, hey, what's your family situation? Do you have a boyfriend?
Yeah.
Are you married? Are you close to getting married? Do you want to get married? People even go to extent, oh, okay, you're not married. I'm well into my 40s. And they ask me, oh, so are you still planning on having kids? But I mean, is that the only thing women are? Are we only baby making machines? Now, I do have a huge number of friends who've done it all.
Yes.
They have the kids, they have the family, they're very successful in their business and corporate life.
Yeah.
I do think there's some exceptional women out there. I just don't think I need to be dinged for not having what they have.
And the question always comes back to, whose life are you here to live? Are you here to live somebody else's version of you? Mm-hmm. Or are you here to live a version of you that honors you, but then shows up, because you honored yourself, shows up at the best possible person for your family, for the people who care about you, for your colleagues? Which one would you rather be?
Right.
And which one would we rather have in our society? Is the question we need to ask ourselves, right?
Well, I think that's a great segue into, tell me about the challenges that you've had when it comes to creating this brand and this image of yourself in the workplace.
So I never really wanted to create an image of myself. I just wanted to do good work. Okay. And I wanted to create brands and live and breathe brands, because I love the idea of transformation. And I love that a story of a brand can connect with you in your life and kind of walk you through life in ways that other things cannot. Mm-hmm. But as a woman, what ends up happening is, if I walk in the door to pitch for a project, first question, well, you're a female, who owns the business? Yeah. Or what are your credentials? Or where's your male counterpart, right? Nobody's asking a guy that question. And I can say this with confidence, I was always way more qualified than the other people, and men specifically. And I had done my homework 1,000 times more. But then I had to build a brand, because I'm like, well, if that's what you think, I'm going to have to show you otherwise. So I can't walk into a room not being confident. I can't walk into a room second guessing myself. I can't walk into a room not being a little badass, excuse the language, because then you are waiting to find a reason why you will not give me the project. And that was not acceptable for me.
And I completely relate. And I think what we get as women when you're in that position, because you have to, like you said, you have to be a badass.
Yeah.
You have to go in overconfident. Correct. Even if you're feeling a little bit insecure that day, or you're having a shitty day. Women are not allowed to have a shitty day.
No.
And I remember walking into rooms and presenting or showcasing my work or whatever it might be, pitching for businesses,
Yeah.
and getting told you're very aggressive, or you don't have to be such a man about it. And actually, you do have to be a man about it, because if I don't, there's someone else out there, a male counterpart, who's going to come in, be his normal confident self.
Oh, that guy's amazing.
And he's amazing.
Yeah.
And if you come in as timid, because we're called timid.
Yeah.
If you come in and you have the best presentation, or you have the
doesn't get
best
you
pitch,
anywhere.
it doesn't get you anywhere.
No.
So you literally have to be that person who, I'm going to use the word overcompensates,
Yeah.
but you have to overcompensate for being female.
There is the female tax, and there is no getting around this, right? And even though we have moved in leaps and bounds, that tax still exists. And you have to show up as the best, the smartest, the switched on. Yeah. Oh, and you must look beautiful whilst you're doing it too, because otherwise you haven't got it together, right? And so the bar for women is here, the bar for men is here. And then that's even before anyone's asked you about the work.
100%. It's such a funny story, because I have a colleague, an ex-colleague, and she walked into a room to do a presentation in jeans and a white shirt. Okay?
Yeah.
Perfectly fine. Walks in, does the presentation, walks out, and the conversation was actually
about how she's dressed.
I can't believe she wore jeans to this presentation, but I can guarantee you that 99% of the men that I know in my workplace, they will wear jeans and a shirt, and it's completely acceptable.
Yeah.
But a female wearing a nice pair of jeans, she had heels on with a white shirt, and it was unacceptable for her to wear jeans.
It is, I think, this double standard where judge the work, don't judge the appearance. Right. And yes, you can argue we live in a world where the cover of the book sells. But what book do you want to read? Right. Is always then the question, right?
But do you think that things have changed? Like, I'm talking about a lot of things that have happened as I was moving through my career. Yeah. In this day and age with, Gen Z and the younger generation, who are a lot more, I feel they're a lot more confident and casual. Yeah. And it works for them. Do you think things have changed for them in the workplace?
I think that it has changed to the extent that you can get away dressing differently. You don't have to be so assertive as a man. But if you ask me, is there bias that somebody will subconsciously want to gravitate towards hiring the male counterpart? That still exists, right? That doesn't change, and that the onus is on everybody to keep questioning. You didn't give me the role, no problem. Can you explain why? If we have to ask people to explain, then we will improve, right? Because if the decision was down to finance, the decision was down to a better pitch, the decision was that person had more experience, perfect, brilliant, not a problem. But if you don't have an answer, we are still stuck. So it's just calling it out, and you don't have to call things out in a way that is shovey, pushy, male aggressive, not the aggressive that you were just mentioning, but we have to keep calling it out and keep asking the questions, because then that's how we retrain everyone to think.
Right. And I still feel like there's a bit of a discrepancy in terms of male and female employees. I mean, I recently visited a company and they were very proud to say, oh, you know what, we have 43% women. And I said, I mean, that's great.
Yeah.
It's changed from, the 20 and 30% that it used to be. However, is this still something that we should be proud of, is that we're still at 43? I'd like to see, and maybe if someone is out there and has a company that has 52% female, reach out to me. I'd love to give you a shout out on the podcast, because I don't know too many.
No, and that's the thing. Like, why should we have to, even at this stage, define how many women or men we have in our company? If we're so equal, does it really come down to a numbers game? Are we reducing people down to a percentage? And I think the fact of the matter is, male-built businesses still don't give women the leeway of how to work, right? And more women, not less, are actually leaving corporate because these systems are not working for them.
Right.
There was sort of this whole article from the Skims CEO, and she was like, yes, but if you ask me in an interview, what are you doing for women? I'm not interested in hiring you. I just assume that you'll go and pick your kid and come back to work, or you will just do what you need to do and come back. Great that you've said that, but what happens down the chain? Does the immediate boss get that? Does it work? Does it make sense? The systems don't work, unfortunately. That's the problem, right? So you can keep hiring women, but the women will leave, or you will put them in positions where they can actually contribute value because you're diminishing their worth.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a classic example. Recently, I heard of a organization. There was a public holiday a couple of days ago in Kenya. And a friend of mine who works at that company is a single mom.
Yeah.
And didn't have a nanny because it's Labor Day.
Exactly.
Nannies are on holiday, of course. And she was asked to go into work.
Yeah.
And she was actually reprimanded for not coming into work. And it's shocking because this person actually explained the situation before even getting the job. So before she got the job, she said, I'm a single mom. I do need a little bit of flexibility because I have a child.
Yep.
And on a day where everyone is away and you don't have that help.
What are you supposed to do?
She's lucky she even has the help.
Right, exactly.
That aside, in that moment, she didn't. And what are you supposed to do? Do you say, no, I can't come to work? Do you expect that you hired me? I was very open and honest about my situation.
But now you're punishing me.
And now you're punishing me for it.
It comes back to this, right? We give lip service, but then we act entirely differently.
Right.
And then what we are doing is we are pushing women away from mainstream corporate world because women are like, I have so much to contribute, but there is nowhere for me to contribute. Right. So women then say, okay, maybe I'll start my own business. But how do I do that? Where do I make this happen? That's in itself a whole other bigger conversation. We are pushing people to the sidelines, and that is not good for society. I really don't think it is. And if you tell me that in this day and age, somebody had to go into work, fine. But why wasn't she allowed to work from home, where tech is our greatest enabler? There cannot be a all or nothing scenario in this, right?
Absolutely. And we've already seen the success that during the unfortunate time of COVID, but a lot of companies were able to see that actually I have very good employees. I trust them enough to sit at home and work from home. Well, they had to, and it worked. And actually, me being one of them, I used to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. The first thing I did was be on my computer.
Yeah.
I'm not commuting. I'm not doing anything. So I'm
going to get on
right
it.
There. Before I go to bed, I had this weird habit.
To check your emails.
And I'm not saying that this is a healthy habit at all. I don't do it anymore. But I did during the time. I think your entire system is so much more relaxed because you're working from home. And so working at odd hours or for longer hours actually didn't feel as strenuous and as stressful as it does right now. Like commuting to work, staying there, leaving for lunch possibly or not, having lunch at your desk, driving all the way home, getting stuck in traffic. All of that is such a buildup that we didn't have when you were working from home. So I think that was such a success. And I feel like we've gone so far past that. All of a sudden, everyone's just like, oh no, get to work on time. Oh, punch in time. We didn't do that, and things were working. So why are we expected to do that now? I think
it's this thing of the unknown, and if you can't see something, it's not working, right? And I think we have to change that narrative. I mean, I have to be honest that and this is something I genuinely believe, if I had to start my business over, one thing I would do would be hire more mothers. Amazing. And I'll tell you why. Like a woman who's a mom, not finding a solution, that's not in her DNA. She has to find a solution, right? You give her a project, she's going to deliver it on time. She'll exceed expectations. She'll probably foresee problems that we were not even on radar. Right. And more than likely, she's going to be very solution-oriented to say, this is where I think we can save money. to me, if you hire a mom, it's just really smart business sense. She's the CEO of her house. She's like the CEO of her kids. Those skills I can't find in other people.
Right.
I don't have to teach someone to be that. She's already on it. It's, to me, like all the moms who have worked for me, they were like my favorite people.
Amazing. So now I'm going to throw something really crazy back at
Yeah.
you. So in terms of working with men versus women,
Yeah.
tell me about how you feel.
So I think, it's a very interesting one, and I also think it depends on industry.
Mm-hmm.
In the world of fitness, and honestly, people at the top of their game in fitness are genuinely collaborating. They're not viewing each other as competition. And especially in the spin world, like so many beautiful collaborations at the top of their game. In the business world, in brand developments, advertising, marketing, whatever you want to call that industry, it's not happening. I'm going to be very, very honest and say that. And I think it's this idea of shove, push, let me get ahead over you, not let's come together. And okay, somebody's going to say, yes, but I know girls collaborating, but here's what happens. You collaborate when you are young. One person in that equation gets a little more attention than the other, and very quickly it falls apart. My experiences in fitness have been that the women have been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, but they had a deep sense of self. In my business, women ran out of steam in terms of the intention was there. I want to keep going, but then something else came. And okay, now I'm not so interested in this. Or, yeah, but you do the work and I'll show up for the complicated, not really fair, equitable. So working with women is always a beautiful thing because that is what we want. We want more women. We want to bring more women up. But as women, we also have to understand, what are you bringing to the table to work with another woman?
Right.
Don't come at it from the perspective of, well, I have to outshine her. I have to get one up on her. This kind of thought has to change. How can I add value because I have different skills to her?
Right.
We don't ever consider that. I can't do everything. I'm not good at everything. But you have strengths I possibly will never have. So if we work on those together, what then happens?
Amazing. And I completely agree. I think what you touched on is really important. I think there's two things is women have a very competitive mindset.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're getting a little bit more attention, well, I need to outshine you or you need to outshine me. I think the collaboration is really important.
Yeah.
I think exactly what you said. We all have different strengths. I mean, I'm terrible at numbers. I am horrible at tech. So I always look for counterparts that are like, okay, I'm great at strategy and implementation. So I think a workplace needs to also go in, if they want to hire more women, to say, let me do a survey. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And then pick and choose from there and say, well, this strength would really complement this person and their strength.
Exactly.
Or this weakness, well, actually, she has the strength. Let's put them together. And I don't really believe that companies go through that much planning when it comes to, it's not just hiring women, it's also hiring men.
Yeah.
I consulted with a company in Hungary, and they were actually incredible at doing this. They had an entire employee survey that they would put out to an employee before, to a person at the stage of interview. So not even when they're hired yet.
Yeah.
And say, okay, does this person have the personality that fits into my company? Do they have the strengths that can complement somebody else's weakness? I think women are very competitive. I also think that in my field, in branding, marketing, again, we have a similar background. I have met a lot of women who are very confident. And I think if you meet a woman who is very confident, she's not going to shy away from, call it competition, call it another woman, call it somebody else's strength. I think the confidence comes with your own sense of security.
Completely.
And when you don't have that sense of security in yourself, you're going to view everybody as competition. And be it in marketing, branding, fitness,
Finance, anything really,
anything.
right? Like I was saying to you, sort of off the record, in the past 6 weeks, I have been called racist by another female. Also had another female put out a blog about female bullying, and it was very clearly directed at me. And it comes back to this thing, right? If you have a deep sense of self, you aren't throwing labels at people. You don't have to go and put these Me Too toxic words at another person. I would never say that to a man, right? Would those two women have dared say that to a man to his face or publicly? I would guess no.
Right.
0, 0, 0, right? But we think it's okay to do it to women. If you have a problem, there is a way to address it. There is a way to handle it. But we are our own worst enemies as women. Like,
Absolutely.
I've had men who didn't necessarily like my stance on a project or whatever, but those were addressed in really different, and I would argue probably a lot more conducive ways. Nobody in sort of a space that is self-confident, knows their craft, is ever behaving like that to me.
Right.
So it comes back from, why are you behaving very insecurely?
And I think we're also a lot more open to, I think women, and again, going back to I've worked with men, I've worked with women, I've had male bosses, female bosses. And I think, and I'll own it myself, that when a male boss is rude or has some tough conversations with me, I'm able to handle it more than if a female boss has a tough conversation with me.
100%.
And maybe it's because of that sense of competition. I think it's like, oh, how dare she tell me this? But then when a male says it, I'm not saying I always take it in a good way.
Yeah.
But I'm able to take it.
Yeah. Because I think when a male counterpart says something, it's rooted in one of two things. Either he's just sexist and uninformed, or maybe his insights are valid, but coming from an entirely different perspective. Both of those two we can reconcile in our minds with logic. Somebody who is competitive and insecure, where does logic apply to approaching that? How do you reason with? You absolutely cannot. You cannot apply logic to illogical behavior. So then you are stumped. You're like, well, now what am I supposed to do here? I will just either pull up a wall or back off.
Right.
Those are the only two scenarios you have.
Right. So what do you think are some of the challenges that you faced creating your own business, having your own brand, that you faced recently, that if you had known better, that you would have made changes, let's say when you first started or when you were younger?
I'll pick on one big thing because I think universally this is true for all women and women-owned businesses. No matter if you are a consultant, if you own a physical business, if you are an accountant, professional lawyer, it is true across the board. Women do not know how to price themselves correctly. We underprice our worth. We over-deliver and then think, well, they will see my worth and then they will pay what I deserve. No, it does not work that way. If you price yourself under what you deserve and you over-deliver, they'll just think, well, she's a sucker, right? So lesson number one, do not underprice because you think that that's what's going to get you your clients. That's not how it works. And the second thing is, you are not here to be all things for all people in your business. Women have a problem. We try to people please. We carry that into our business. So you take it personally if somebody doesn't buy your product, if someone doesn't hire you as a consultant. No, that's actually good because you are not for everybody. You are not a commodity. I don't want to be for everyone. I want value over quantity.
Brilliant.
Be okay with that.
I'm going to add just one more because I
Go
think
for
those were brilliant. I could not have said it better myself. The only other thing that I think that in my experience I've learned is take credit for your work.
Yes, a big one,
And
right?
I think when I was younger, I was always like, coming up with these great ideas at work, and then somebody would, you present or you say it and you're a little bit timid or you're not as confident, and then some generally male counterpart or a stronger female. I'm not going to just say this is not a sexist thing at all, but somebody will come in and steal my idea straight from under me and take credit for it. And it would boil my blood, and I would sit there like, oh my goodness, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I, was I not more confident? Why didn't I claim this for myself?
Exactly.
So for me, it's like, go out there, shine, talk about yourself. And we shy away from giving ourselves credit as well, not just claiming credit, but saying, hey, I'm actually really good at what I do. I'm actually really smart. And I see a lot of women, when I talk to them, they still don't toot their own horn.
Completely. It's hugely problematic. So let's put it another way. You see an ad on social media for a wellness consultant or a nutritionist, and you get in touch because that's what you're looking for. And they say, yeah, I could help you, and I've done this and this, and they play it down, and maybe it'll work for you, maybe it won't, because they kind of are a little unsure, and they're like, well, what if it doesn't work with this person? I don't want to have. So you go away thinking, yeah, but I don't really want maybe not. The other person goes, I guarantee you in 90 days, you will feel 1,000 times better. You're like, done, I'm going with that person. We have to start thinking of our work and ourselves as people in that light. Nobody wants a maybe. You don't want a maybe. I want certainty. I want you're going to get me what I want.
Right. And I think so both of us kind of transitioned from the corporate owning our own businesses into fitness. So we're going to talk about that in a second. But I just want to say that I was that person. When I first moved back to Kenya several years ago, I was that person, like, my work will show itself. So I don't need to convince you to come to me. Even though I know I'm the best in my field. I never went out and told people I'm the best. And then when I had other people and I would see that they would come out and say, I'm the best, and then I'm the best. And I'm like, oh my God. Like,
how are you the best?
Yeah. What's the basis of your best? And it actually doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. And again, I'm going to own my stuff. I have gone through a lot of resentment of people going out there and saying that they're better than me or better than anyone. And truly, that's what they believed, and that's what mattered. And internally, I knew how good I was at what I do, but I never went out and made a bank. And I think that was a big flaw at the time. And if I could do things differently, that's something I would change. But going back to our fitness, yours and my fitness journey.
Can I just add one little thing to this? Based on what you just said, ladies, please sit on this and digest this. You win nothing for being a best kept secret. You win no points in your personal life, in your professions, in any aspect of your life, if you are a best kept secret. Nothing.
Absolutely, 100%. Go out there and tell people how great you are.
Exactly.
So what made you transition into more of a fitness profession? Should I call it a profession?
I'd say it's probably my passion more than my profession.
Sure.
I grew up in a family that my parents were always big on sport and wellness. And so that was always around me. But then it was always like, okay, the gym is a thing you have to do. Tick box, right? Again, you stay healthy, you stay well, you keep your body working well. Check box. But then I was sort of going through a lot of personal angst in my life where it was the part of people's noise in your head and, okay, well, what's wrong with me if I'm not doing the checklist correctly? But at the same time, my business was thriving, right? We were really doing very well. So I had this inner battle where I'm having to show up at work and sell you how great I am. But inside me, I'm going, I'm awful. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And I was spending a lot more time in London. And so I would go to a lot of fitness studios, right? And, the beauty of being in other places is you get to see other industries on a whole other level. And I would go to boxing and I'd love it and I'd vent out how I'd feel. And then I'd go to spin class. And then the thing with spin or that type of rhythm ride where you ride to the rhythm of the beat. I was just like, okay, I'm fit. I can do this. I was like, no, actually, I can't do this. I don't know how to ride. What do you mean ride to the rhythm? What do you mean? Sorry, I don't understand. So I was just like, okay, well, what is this? I'm going to have to conquer this because you can't tell me that I'm incompetent and I can't do this.
Shreya needs to conquer the things that people say she can't do.
I'd literally be like the girl behind the pillar in the darkest spot trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But it was mirroring my insides, right? My insides were hurting. My insides were second guessing me. And that was a reflection. And I think that is the most beautiful thing of the bike. The bike is proof of life, of your proof of life. So I kept going at it and I'm like, I'm going to master this. So I'd master it and I'd get a little better. So then I'd move one row up and I'd move out from the dark and in. And I could see that. And I'm like, okay, if I can change this, if I can get the grips of this, then I can get the grips of my life.
This is what I mean. We're the same person. It blows my mind.
So it's proof of life. If I'm doing this, then why can't I build myself up again? And it transformed and it transformed. And the funny thing is, or it's not even funny, the biggest shifts happened for me about the magic of the bike were two really big things. At a random Christmas party, I met a girl, and if you asked me what her name was or what she does, I have no idea today. She went to the same studio and she's like, I really love to go to spin because I'm on my 8th round of IVF and it's not working. And it's the only thing that makes me feel like I'm me again.
Oh, I love that.
And I was just like, wow, this is bigger than Shreya and her own little problems, right? And then on one very rainy morning at a 7:30 a.m. class, nobody wanted to be there, right? Everyone's miserable. And so the instructor's like, guys, I really think you all need a reality check of yourselves and how lucky you are, because on his way in to teach class, someone chose to kill themselves on the underground. They just didn't find life worth living.
Oh my God, that's life-changing right there.
Yeah, and I was just like, yeah, I need to get out of myself. Yeah. And those things are what carried me through the bike, and the bike is the most beautiful place for me now, and the space that is the most soulful for me. But I love that I don't have to look a certain way to be on a bike. I don't have to be skinny. I don't have to be built. I don't have to have anything. I just want to have the intention to be me. And then you see, and now as a coach, I see the girl who goes right to the back, right? No, I can't do this, or I'm really self-doubting, and she starts to move. She comes to the class and she moves, and you're like, this is the magic.
Yeah. And you know what? I feel like, so my fitness journey was a little bit more traumatic.
Oh, goodness.
Again, never said this on camera before, but I have made a promise on this podcast to be completely raw and open. I went through a physically abusive relationship when I was in my late 20s.
Okay.
And I have never felt so weak as I did in that situation. And after that, got out of that relationship, thankfully, moved country, started a fitness journey. But it was more like, I got into yoga and all of that, but it had nothing to do with that relationship.
Yeah.
And I moved back to Kenya and I started to train with Nick Galani.
Okay.
And actually, a friend of mine told me, the friend that actually
put this beautiful painting up.
Shivani, we will talk about this painting in a minute. But she told me about training, and I'd done a little bit of weight training here and there, nothing serious. And I remember going to the gym, and the first time he asked me to do some boxing, and I realized how much of that trauma came back. I was completely against it. I said, I am not boxing. I cannot do this. I'm not a violent person. And I think that I realized how much of that pain, insecurity, fear was sitting inside me. Yeah. And as soon as I started weight training, everything changed. And in my mind, it was, if I can get muscle, if I can get strong, if I can lift heavy weights, nobody will ever pick on me again.
Yeah.
And that was my whole motivation. Like, if you see me and if you look at me and if I have big biceps and if I look strong, then no man is ever going to try and hit me again.
There's a line that they won't dare cross.
Exactly.
Right?
And that became my motivation. And that became my obsession.
Yeah.
And sometimes I called it my addiction because
Okay.
I think there's so many different types of addiction, but for me, fitness became an addiction.
Yeah.
And the first time I decided to step on stage and compete as a bodybuilder,
And this was in Canada, right?
it
Where
was.
you competed.
I actually watched my sister do it first and
Okay.
got obsessed. And I was like, what is this? Like
Yeah.
aesthetically, how people looked,
Yeah.
how they came across as being very feminine yet confident.
Yeah.
And that was what
The appeal was.
It was. It
Okay.
was that you can still be strong.
Yeah.
But you can still embody being feminine, and you can still be soft, and you can still be hard, and you
Yeah.
can do all of it.
that. Yeah.
And I quit my job, moved to Toronto, and similar sort of situation because every trainer I met looked at me and said, "You're just a skinny girl. You can't
can't do
compete."
this. And
No.
you're like, let
And I
me
didn't
show
wanna,
you.
Yeah, and I didn't want to compete in bikini. For me, it was like I needed to feel stronger and bigger and more muscular, and
Sure.
all of that trauma was just like, no, you can't. You're not a bikini girl. You need to go into figure competing,
Yeah.
which requires more muscle.
Okay.
And everyone that saw me was like, no, you can't do it. Or it'll take us a year to get you on stage. And I was like, I don't have a year. I just quit my job.
Yeah,
I
I've
have
gotta
like
make this
X amount of
happen. Time.
savings.
Yeah.
I need to rent an apartment, buy chicken every day,
Yeah.
pay for a gym membership and a trainer. I have like 3 months to do this.
Yeah.
And I was very lucky to find someone
Who saw that
believed in me.
potential.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Who probably saw the pain and the trauma and was like, I can use this to make her stronger. And I did. And I remember that, and it was never about winning.
Yeah. It's just about
It was
the
about
doing, right? Yeah.
It was about getting up on that stage. It was about looking at myself in the mirror and saying, I feel so strong.
Yeah.
It was about going into the gym and lifting that really heavy weight and mentally breaking that barrier that I'm a victim.
Yeah.
I've been traumatized. I've been, physically hurt, mentally destroyed.
Yeah.
And I put all of that in the gym. And for me, that became my solace. That became my safe space.
And then what happens is the beauty is the pain is just a chapter. It's not what defines you, right?
Exactly. Although I do think that weightlifting did define me. It
Okay.
still, to a certain extent, defines me.
Okay.
I am a big believer. And I think when I started the gym in Nairobi,
Yeah.
I think I couldn't understand why more, it started off as a women's only gym.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why Alicia and I did that was because, Alicia being my sister, the reason why we did that was because I wanted women to feel empowered.
Yeah.
And I wanted them to feel like no matter what emotional, physical issues that you might have, come into the gym and I will help you
grace.
fix it.
Yeah.
Because I fixed myself.
Yeah.
And when it didn't go the way I planned initially, and when I wasn't going out and making a big splash and telling people I'm amazing and do that, because I didn't feel like I needed to.
Yeah. I'm like, this should speak for itself.
Yes.
Right.
And I was like, well, all of us have some sort of an issue.
Yeah.
The gym is the place to do it. And I guess I was projecting my own stuff.
Yes.
I was saying that this worked for me, it's going to work for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important thing to touch on is that not everything can work for everyone.
No.
Spin worked for you. Weightlifting worked for me.
Exactly.
Pilates might work for
For
someone.
somebody
Yoga
else, right?
And when it comes to competing, I don't compete.
Okay.
Except when I'm stepping on stage, but even
Yeah.
that, I don't actually compete. I compete with myself.
Yes.
I've never gone up there and said, I have to win. I've always gone there saying, I want to go up there better than I was the last time I
And
was.
I think we need to teach girls this lesson. Yes, it's all out there on social media and people see sound bites of this, but how many people are actually taking this lesson? How many people are teaching it to their young girls? How many people are teaching it, especially to teenagers? We're not teaching girls, stop competing with the girl next to you.
Yeah.
It's okay, because the burden we put on them is so much. Just compete with your yesterday.
Yes,
that is the winning
absolutely.
thing, right?
And I don't know how many people actually know that. And whether it's young girls or people our age, I still get so many talk. I have so much conversation that I hear from
Yeah.
people that this one's competing with this one, or she's competing with you, or you're competing. I'm like, I'm not competing with anyone.
I'm just in my lane.
Exactly. And I feel like that's the way to do everything in life.
There is enough abundance in this world
Yes.
that if 20 people wanted to do the same thing, there is not going to be lack, right?
So you said something before the podcast started.
Yeah. So
you said something really interesting. I need you to say that.
Okay, so as brown girls, Indian girls, subconsciously, intentionally, unintentionally, the narrative you get told, excuse me, is that you have to get married, you have to tick the box, you have to do this. But if the other girl is getting ahead of you, and that other girl may be your friend or maybe just another girl in your community is getting ahead, she's gotten ahead and you lost, right? So she won, you lost. Never mind the fact that her life was not the life you even envisioned for yourself. So we train girls to think that it's scarcity, right? I have to get ahead of you because otherwise I've lost. I have to outbeat you, otherwise I didn't do what I was supposed to do.
Right.
If we changed the narrative and really showed girls abundance, be happy for the person who found their path. Be happy for yourself where you are now. It is a really big thing. And one thing I tell people in my spin class, right? You're going on your dream vacation. You're at the airport and you stand there and you look at the gates being called, right? So this person leads to their gate, that person leads to their gate. You don't begrudge them. How dare your gate has been called and my gate has not. You don't get angry. You're just like, okay,
my turn's
gate
coming.
Yeah, my gate hasn't been called yet. Hey, I saw this really great duty free, or there's this amazing bar, or I'm gonna go sit at the lounge and I'm gonna have fun before I get onto my flight. You need to see life in that way.
I love that.
I think
you're at the airport and
Yeah.
just wait for your turn and it's coming.
Yeah. And your flight, you didn't even want to go on that flight. So why are you getting angry?
right.
Let it be. Your flight to your dream destination is coming.
That. And I think that's a really important point.
Yeah.
Because I think exactly what we said. I think that we're always trying to outshine someone else.
Completely.
Just be you and shine in your own space, and everything that's meant to come across for you, everything's supposed to unfold for you will come. I think one last thing I'd like to touch on is, because I think we could sit here for like 3 hours
Yes,
and keep
I
talking.
think people will be like, oh my goodness.
Maybe we should do a podcast that's 3 hours and then just
Like, whoa.
put it online and be like, yeah, if you want to listen. If you
Go
don't,
for it, yeah.
For me, it's how to make that transition between, there's a lot of people who have the potential to have their own business.
Yeah.
And you and I having our own businesses, we've both done things in the past, like taken risks.
Yeah.
How do we motivate the woman out there to say, you have what it takes?
Yeah.
We're not special. We're just
like you.
Yeah. And I will let you answer first in terms of was it an intentional move? Was it something you just fell into?
Yeah.
Just unravel that for us a little bit.
So I'll start by giving you a little bit of a statistic. I did a survey on smart women who, have the degrees, have their life in order. They're showing up for the people they care about. Mm-hmm. They're doing all the things in their lives. So from the outside, they have it all. And I asked a simple question in this survey. What would you like to feel if you lived a life that was your dream life? Not I won the lottery life, but your dream everyday life. 75% of women said, I would want to feel self-confident and proud. 75.
And these are
smart women. Smart women who have their lives in order.
Wow. And they didn't feel confident?
No, I don't. My dream life would equal feeling self-confident and proud. Wow. Second question, what prevents you from building that dream life? I lack the self-confidence was at 70%. 68% was I don't know how to do it. It's very telling, right? So as women, we have done everything we were supposed to do, or we have done more than, but inside us, we still self-doubt. We still second-guess ourselves. For me, I started my business because I did not want to be boxed into somebody's idea of me. I didn't want to be in a system that didn't see me for who I was. It was very clear to me. And the reason that was my number one value for my life is freedom. And now I don't mean freedom in the Me Too movement, or it's freedom of speech. I don't mean it in that way, but freedom to have the choice to think the thoughts I want to think, freedom to see the world as I want to see it, build something the way I want to build it. And then as you grow along, it's freedom from life, freedom in the spiritual sense, right? So that is my deepest, biggest why for anything in life. So for anyone starting a business, I always say, what is your deepest why? And telling me money is not an answer, because money is the means to something. What is the something?
Right.
Answer your biggest why. And then tell me what lights you up with so much passion that if I told you to do it for free, for no money, you'd be like, yeah, done. I'll do it every day on repeat. No problem. Can you pair those two things and find your business? You don't have to have the answers of how am I going to do it? Who's funding me? This, that. I need a fancy funnel. We inundate people with thinking they have to start perfect. No, you just have to start.
Right. I think for me, the question that I always get is that if I'm not financially able to start my own business, and that's the fear. And so I truly believe that find the passion that you would do for free. When it comes to finances, now I'm the kind of person, I just quit my job and then I'm like,
I'll
okay,
figure out. Yeah.
I get it. I push myself into a corner.
Yeah.
I've always been that person who works under pressure.
Yeah.
Even in school, you know, the exam's tomorrow, I'm going to pull an all-nighter today. I've never been a planner. I mean, even this podcast, it literally happened overnight. Because I feel like if someone tells me that you have to plan for like months and months, it's not going to happen. I believe the smart way of doing it is to plan. But if you're like me and you're not a planner, if you have a job, like I said, I quit my job and then I get stuck and then I'm like, oh my goodness, my bank account is dwindling. I have to do something. And that's my pressure point. Go out, do something, get it done. The smart way of doing it, in my opinion, is save up money.
100%, right?
Every month. You know, if you really want something, and you said, what's your why? If you truly, truly, truly have a why, if you truly have I have a passion to do this and I would do it for free. Start saving up. Say that, you know what, I'm going to put away X amount of money, even if it's $100 or like 20 shillings or whatever. The monetary amount doesn't matter. It's mentally preparing yourself and saying, I am committed to put this amount of money into an account and leave it there, not touch it. And this is what's going to happen, be my new business fund or my entrepreneur fund.
This is, really the thing that we'll go and buy the handbag because we hate the job we're in. I will go and drown my sorrows at the spa. Your dream requires sacrifice. So if you say, I won't buy the handbag, I won't go to the spa, but I'll put that into getting me to the place I want to get to. Can I do one action every single day, no matter how small, that takes me one step forward? Therein is your plan.
Right. I'm gonna just give an example since we talked about a good friend of mine, Shivani, who gave me this beautiful painting. She was not an artist. She's been an artist, I think, her whole life internally. But she came out during COVID and said, this is something that I'm really passionate about. And went from painting some paintings at home to going through this whole whirlwind of this is not something that's going to make me money. This is not something that I'm good at. To now, she just showcased her work in Dubai at the artist fair. And she's doing great. And I think it's the confidence. So what I want to leave, and we can add this to as well, is for men and women who really want to follow their passion, what do they need to do to truly believe in themselves to make things happen? To really believe that they have the confidence. They will find what they need to do. They need to do it a couple times and fail, like the artist, and just go out and just persevere.
I think you have to visualize. If you've understood your why and you've understood your passion, then the next step really is to say, well, who am I creating this for, right?
Your target.
Like we have, this painting is so beautiful and it's so intentional of a female. And more than likely it was painted for a woman. So who is the person that you want to serve so deeply? And there is this kind of saying, and it sounds a little crazy, fall in love with that dream client of yours. And why? Because you see their life, you see how they live, you understand what goes through their mind. And suddenly you realize that everything you are about will benefit them so much that if they didn't go with you, they will not get the best.
Yeah. I think Lululemon does that best. They
Completely, right?
They created the most amazing personas of their target,
Yes.
and everything relates to exactly that persona.
Exactly.
They never waver from that. Okay, so our last question usually that we ask our guest is, what is the one golden nugget that you want to leave with the listeners or the watchers that's going to change their life and potentially create a legacy for yourself?
At the end of the day, when the lights turn off and the accolades from the public, from your family, from everybody dims, it's just left with you. And my one question to myself and to everybody is, when you look in the mirror, what is the one thing you want to reconcile of yourself? It is not somebody else's judgment of you. It is not an idea of how you think people should see you, but how do you want to see yourself? And it needs to be so unwavering that from your 30th birthday to your 40th, to your 50th, your 85th, it stays so true to you and you never wavered from that version of you in the mirror.
I love that. So we're going to have homework for the day.
Yes.
Today's homework for the day is write down, like Shreya said, write down, what do you see for yourself? Who are you? First, let's define who you are. Who are you? And what do you see for yourself in the next coming years? And don't waver from that. Be a more confident person, be it dress a different way, be it listen to more podcasts, be it read a book about entrepreneurship, whatever it might be. Go out, write it down, and stick to it.
Definitely. And watch your life just move in leaps and bounds.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you. I enjoyed every minute.
I loved it. I really think we need to do this again.
Yes, and
it was
looking
way
forward
too
to
much
hearing
fun.
what other people have to say, because I think it's going to be so beautiful.
Absolutely. And please, once you've written it down, and if you'd like to share it with us, we would love to give you feedback. So please go on our Instagram page, social media pages. The podcast is called Life Unfiltered by Faz. Look us up, like and share, and tell us what you thought about this episode.